We are live now?
Yes,
Okay.
it says that we're being live streamed.
Okay.
Everyone's back up too.
All right, great. Well, let's resume. Were we live at all? At all? Okay, so let's
No,
start fresh.
just no.
Let's start fresh again. I'd like to call to order our Los Puentes, Charter School Board meeting for October 9th, 2024. Go down our list for approval of the agenda. Folks have an opportunity to look at the documents Leslie sent.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. May we get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, minutes. An opportunity to look at the minutes.
I did get a chance to review the minutes. I move to approve as written.
Perfect, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Just keep moving, people. Actions. Your show now.
Right. Hello, everyone. So today we have one budget adjustment request for approval, and this is increased for $26,000. So this happened because we got unit value increase after the budget. So, and this will be a $26,000 increase for the school. Let me know if you have any questions. So the details about this budget adjustment request is on the page 2.
I motion to approve the bar.
Thank you.
I second.
Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next report is a check listing report, and we went over checks with the during finance committee. Please let me know if you have any questions about checks.
Just take a note to how many there are not on the list. We are going through a change,
In the
an
business.
FTE in a business model, so we're reallocating resources for somebody else to do it, basically.
Do we have to approve that one?
Yes,
I motion to approve.
thank you. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so the next report is a projected expenditure versus budgeted expenditure report. So on the left side, you can see, budgeted, this is what we have as of today, and estimated includes, expenditure that already happened this year and plus encumbered. So we estimate that we will end the year at $1.5 million of expenditure, but there will be also other additional purchase requisitions that will increase this amount. On the right side, there are expenditures for all other funds, including federal funds, state local funds, capital outlay, budget by fund. On the page 5, there is a current revenue versus budgeted revenue and monthly cash balance. So you can see the comparison with the prior year cash balance. The budgeted revenue. This is so far how much we received in ACG. The next report is the expenditure by function and by object. much the school spends based on their, functions to
I'm
instructional.
sorry, Anna. I
Yeah.
think there is a lot of paper shuffling, and if you're listening from Zoom or YouTube, they're not gonna be able to hear what you're saying. So I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Just wanted to make you guys aware.
So these are microphones, if you have one nearby.
Can you hear me better now?
Is ours on?
Can we mute him?
Is it better?
If you mute one, you mute all.
Sorry.
So if you,
Yeah.
maybe if you put it aside, and then if you, when you speak, maybe, sorry about that.
Is it better now, Berenice?
Way better. Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
thank
No,
you.
I
I
just
don't,
moved it.
I don't mean to be particular, but I think that the idea is for everybody to be able to hear. So I just wanted to make sure that we're aware that that's happening. So, you know, it's good that some of us attend via Zoom so we could
Yeah.
kind of
Thank you for bringing that up.
Quality control, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Estimated expenditure by object, so, you can see that 69% of the budget is for compensation and benefits, 4% for supplies, contract services, 26%. And this is, below, you can see function, expenditure by function, so this is related to the first table, but just more month by month. Financial summary report. So this is actually ties back the cash balance in this column ties back to the bank statement. So you can see this number here. It shows how much cash is related to each fund. So we have 528,000 in operational funds. All the funds that have a negative cash balance, so these are due to requests for reimbursement that we haven't received yet. The next report is the revenue for each account. And expenditure. So we did actually run a different report this time. So everything where you can see is pink. So this is just highlights the negative for the fund. So what we usually do, we either do budget adjustment request for the next month, or we change the allocation in the accounting system. So this is actually, we will meet with Anna. Some funds we may be over budget, like Gear Up, because we had some changes, so we probably will need to reconsider how we want to spend. Capital HB33 fund has a negative by function is due to this fund is allocated to lease payments, but once we get lease assistance budgeted, so that we will it's not going to be negative anymore. So we just allocated this. The next report is a bank reconciliation. And the bank statement. Please let me know if you have any questions about financial reports.
Thank you. And I will add that I did my detailed review on the reporting. I didn't see anything that in particular that I wanted to point out. It's just operational stuff. So I didn't see anything that we would need to worry or be alarmed of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anna. All right. Next on our agenda, I did receive a letter of recognition, I wish, resignation from Gloria. So Gloria will be leaving us probably the end of this month. She'll sit through the site visit next week, and that'll probably be it. So, major bummer. I'd like to throw out of who of you lucky individuals would love the opportunity to be that vice president? Show of hands, anybody? Anybody?
Molly, I think that any one of us would do whatever's needed for the group. So
So, question. So, for next month's agenda, then do we put that on voting for a new vice president? Or do we
Yeah.
have to submit names, then the following month vote?
No, you can, you know, you could actually vote it today if you wanted to, because you have it on the agenda, as an action item. And so it would just be a nomination from the board for that position, a second, and then a vote for, that position. So if you want to give people time to digest everything and put it on the next month's agenda, and then you can vote, if anybody's interested, or you could vote today. I mean, you do have it on the agenda.
Okay.
Molly, do you guys have something that shows the responsibilities for that role? That you could share with us, or how does that normally work?
I believe it's in our bylaws, but I don't
Okay.
have.
Okay, so we'll just go over the bylaws unless somebody is, I feel like for my position, since is the financial part, I think I'll stick to that for a couple of years, and then when I'm ready to roll up, then I'll make that move. But I think I'm gonna give the opportunity to everybody else just because of the nature of my background.
Treasurer is perfect. No, that is a tough fill. So having you in that role is amazing. So thank you.
Oh, we need very.
Yeah, let's see. Are you able to find it?
You know, essentially a vice president or a co-chair or a vice chair is somebody who fulfills the duties of the president. There really isn't any direct responsibility like the treasurer, who is the chair of the finance committee. Secretary typically has signature responsibilities when there's a lease or something. The president and the secretary typically sign, and so the vice president is somebody who would fulfill the duties if the president was not available. They would run the meetings, and then serve on any committees that they serve on. And typically, a vice president would be a chair of a committee if you had one. You had that structure. So it just depends on the school. And so it's not typically a heavy lift, but hopefully the idea is that you're training somebody. Sorry, Molly. You're training somebody to take over as president.
I'm the first to always admit, I train somebody to take my job right now.
And so it's somebody that is learning what it is to be the president. A lot of schools have what they call an executive committee, and that is the group would get together prior to the meeting, and the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer would look at the agenda. You know, again, it depends. It's not required. It's just that's a configuration that I've seen in other schools. And so it's a job that's not a huge lift, but hopefully it's a future-looking job that would be possibly somebody who could step into the role of president upon transition.
Thank you,
Just
Kelly,
give us
for
all
the detailed
Come on.
summary there.
I have a job.
You have a job. I got a job.
Secretary.
Juan, want to throw your name in? You know what? I'm on.
like I told you, I think any of us would do whatever's needed for the group. So I would be happy to do it, but I am not determined to do it. So happy to be there to support in any way.
I nominate one. I second.
Juan, are you good with that before we say all in favor?
Let me have a sip of coffee.
All right. Let me get my big sword and I'll don you. I'll knight you. All right. All those in favor of Juan Flores becoming our vice president of Los Puentes Board? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ding. We have a winner. All right, well, thank you so much, Juan. Oh, man, that was,
Congratulations.
I thought this was gonna like go on from like, we had to put it on the agenda, then decide to nominate, and then the next month vote.
That's why you guys, when you're doing your agenda and you have it as a discussion/action item, you're covered with OMA. So, so it's better to list than to underlist.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Well, the next item is rescheduling of the November meeting. Mainly because we have the EPS school board meeting that night, and that starts at 5,
It
6.
starts at 5, yeah, and that is our renewal, vote, our
They're doing the
recommendation
hearing in
vote.
November?
Yes, November 13th.
Really?
So that is the,
That's quick.
yeah.
Was that good or bad? Why are you saying that?
Well,
I thought it was in November last year too.
Was
I
it?
think they've moved to like a special meeting, my understanding. It's not the regular meeting, it's a special meeting for the renewal.
Right. The only concern that I have is with the review of your application. I don't know how many schools are up for renewal in APS.
About 7, to
So
my knowledge.
that's a lot of
Yes.
applications in October 1st to November, that's 6 weeks. They have to do the site visits.
Like site visit is next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then they have to do the recommendation to the board, and then I'm pretty sure they present all this to the meeting first before they do the school board. So I was a little shocked when I was like, wow, really? Interesting.
Yeah. That's,
If they can do it, I guess more power.
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I feel very confident. As I'm on YouTube saying I'm very confident, I am fairly confident that we've done a great job at representing, our case for renewal. This is the application printed, and so these were delivered, before October 1st. That's, the Friday before the 1st, or the Monday before the 1st, so the 30th, September. These are in the review attempts, and then our site visit with the review team is next Wednesday at 1, and then the actual decision.
Will you get the recommendation prior to, so typically they do a recommendation and send it to the school in case there's any need for rebuttal, like if they point something out that maybe looks missing but really isn't, then it would be an opportunity to either provide further documentation or, that's, typically, that's what it looks like. There's nothing in statute or regulation. It's that they have the elements of what a renewal looks like what's in the application, and, they don't really outline how it is. You just have to have a hearing prior to 180 days when your contract. So it's a 6 month. So they're doing it early. But I just want to make sure that the school has an opportunity, if they do provide a chance to respond to that if you need to. So I'm not sure if that's something that is an APS protocol.
I have not come across that information at all throughout
Okay.
the time. I
Okay.
know that I've been given the rubric, that the evaluators are using, and at the conclusion of the site visit, there is a recommendation section, a renewal recommendation, by each of the independent, raters, and then I know that becomes the recommendation. I have not come across that period of time, but I will inquire.
Yeah, and
So that is good to
that's, you certainly don't want to get blindsided at a public meeting. That's part of the reason for, maybe having this opportunity, so you can see, and even if they didn't let you respond, at least then you'd know that, okay, we need to talk about this in our presentation to the board, that, something came up as a flag. And so, just maybe asking them question, do we have an opportunity to see it prior to the meeting? Even if you don't get to respond, at least you'll know going in kind of what Joseph's, arguments will be good for renewal or conditions or not.
you know. I will definitely get on that.
Have they moved them back to in person? Do we know?
Yes, to my knowledge, it is in person. I will triple check, but yeah, it is in person.
Okay, so we do have our board meeting scheduled for the 13th. And I guess I'm twofold. One, I say yes, do we just bump it up a little bit earlier that day, or do we cancel? I mean, can we cancel for the month?
You can, and there's nothing that precludes you from not having a meeting, but I would strongly recommend that you may have some information that if you do it a little early, that it would just be a meeting that you'd have one or two agenda items, that it would be reviewing the renewal recommendation from APS, final prep for your presentation. Do you have to do a formal presentation, or they cut that out too?
At the meeting, I was asked to be prepared to have a staff member, a parent, and a teacher speak, and I think they want to keep it down.
Yeah, they with
minutes.
7 especially, they're gonna
So-
keep it really short. So, again, just being familiar with what's come back from APS, having a chance to kind of gather who's going to attend did they ask for a board member too?
Yes, not to address APS
Yeah.
board, but yes,
As a
they
group,
do
yeah.
want.
They needed.
To physically be there.
Right, and so, I just would strongly recommend, even if it's not a whole lot of information, just that maybe a final gathering prior to the meeting, that you could just do it right before the meeting if you wanted to. And then you could just review any material or information that, may be available, just so the board is in sync with you.
Is it possible to do a virtual only meeting for
Yes.
the November
Yes,
meeting?
you can
so that
just,
everybody
you can
knows?
call it, when you post it, it's just gonna be a special virtual meeting to, in lieu of a regular meeting, prepare for renewal. That's all you have to do, and have one, approve the agenda, approve the minutes. Approve the minutes, and then the agenda item would be review renewal. You probably won't have any action items on there, and so it just would be that quick. And yes, you could do it definitely on a Zoom, and, I think it would just be a great way to just kind of synthesize everything so that when you go to the meeting, it'll be, as prepared as possible. So, you can just, in lieu of regular meeting, we'll have a special meeting for renewal, special virtual meeting for renewal preparation.
So would it be better, though, to move it to the 6th, so that way you're not feeling a crunch and a panic, because you've got to have that meeting, like, would we be bombarding you with more stuff to have our meeting and then that meeting? Because that's a lot, But if we did it either the 6th or even a different day or something like that, we might, we can go over any of the stuff from the site visit, anything like that might be, because I just, a meeting in front of a meeting, I get, trying to make sure you're prepared, but it might also be overload for you.
Right.
I agree with Debbie. I like her idea, Debbie. I like that, just to be prepared.
What time is that meeting?
On the 13th, we don't know what order we're going in, like, I don't know when the agenda will be published. I counted 7 schools that are up for renewal, so we're somewhere in the middle. Yeah, or at the start, or at the end, I don't know,
Yeah.
actually.
It starts at 5?
Starts at 5.
I agree, because then if we meet at, it would feel rushed, it would feel crunched, and it'd be stressful. I'm fine with meeting the week before. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, me too. That would be
too.
the 2nd through the 6th, is that right?
Yes.
On the 6th, yeah.
So we would not have our regular board meeting on the 13th, this special meeting would be in lieu of that on the sixth.
And that's a Friday.
No, the regular meeting was on November
I
13th.
apologize.
Right, it's a Wednesday.
So it was November 13th, and now we're moving it back to the 6th. That's what we're trying to do, correct?
My apologies.
Correct. So, my dilemma is, if it were this, full disclosure now, I'm starting to coach basketball at St. Pius next week.
Oh, congratulations.
So, yeah, it'll be fun. So my life is going to be a little hectic right after school until 6 o'clock at night. So if we did meet, I wouldn't be able to meet until either 6 that day. And I'm sure, you know, we probably all have a really busy schedule on the 6th, unless there's anyone free at 8, 9, or 11.
Do you wanna pick a different day? Doesn't have to be a Wednesday, does it?
For me, it's, I can't do anything till after 6, so
Oh, regardless of the day?
I'm
Yeah, and I
practicing every
can't-
day.
Oh.
That Wednesday, I actually, I volunteer for Pope Joyce, so that day I have
In the evening.
at 6:30, so.
On November sixth.
Yeah, so I mean, I could do it if we did it earlier, but any other day I'd be fine with.
I'm actually gonna be out of town that day too, so.
Maybe a Tuesday. And if Molly can make it, maybe it's a good opportunity for Juan to exercise his new role. Just saying.
Well, wait a minute, I just got the title, hold on.
Thanks, Berenice.
Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? I thought I was on mute.
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of schools and businesses are closed on the 5th. So I don't know if Pius is closed on the 5th because it's election day.
But we gotta vote.
We are not closed.
Okay, you guys aren't.
No, we're
So
not.
you would be available on the 13th, if we were still had it on the 13th.
Yes, because I arranged already for another coach to pick up for me that day,
Oh, okay.
so he's covering that 13th, but I don't want to, don't make it on I want you to feel comfortable, so whatever you need,
So
whatever works for you.
the only other time that I've been through a charter renewal at APS, it has been probably about 7 years. So I don't know how much things have changed, but I feel like from my recollection and from the documents that I've reviewed, it all happens up to the site visit. And so, in fact, you know, they've already been reviewing our application. I've received questions from the review team that needed clarification on some of our
So
items.
they're
that we
doing running,
submitted.
so you are getting a chance to.
Yes, I don't think that we're getting a chance to respond whether or not they recommend us,
Right.
but, you know, I've already gotten questions ahead of the site visit. At the site visit, we're gonna address those questions. You know, we do have it planned so that they leave here with a good feeling that they've experienced Los Fuentes and are, you know, gonna be able to recommend us for a charter renewal. So I don't think that it matters from my perspective whether we meet before or on the day of. And, honestly, I've been a nervous wreck and I will continue to be until after that meeting, so I don't think it matters, either way. So if you guys were able to make the time and meet on the 13th ahead of that hearing, that would work for me just fine.
How do folks' schedules look at 3 o'clock on the 13th? That would maybe give you a little bit of leeway, if it's via Zoom.
I could do.
If that's
Yeah, I can do it.
I can,
Juan?
yeah, I can do it. I could do it.
Okay, so let's just move it up to 3 o'clock via Zoom. And how many of us have an opportunity, will have an opportunity to be at the board meeting, the APS board meeting on the 13th?
I could probably try, yeah.
What time is that meeting? Is that the one that's gonna happen?
I think it's at 5 o'clock, right? And then a little
Starts
late.
at 5.
Yeah, I already have both scheduled, but do we, and then is it in person?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
where, at the, uptown, office, central office of Eddie.
Yeah, I can go. I can do that.
so Anna, so if we have that early meeting, that special meeting on the 13th at 3, are we gonna have, so is it gonna be just 1 hour so we could get to the other meeting in person?
Yeah, I think like Kelly suggested, just, one agenda item, just so that we're prepared for that.
Okay,
With one.
Yeah, if you
And
send
you
me
may wanna
that-
put on the agenda, if you have a quorum, just put as an agenda item that the board will be attending, the APS board meeting, hearing, and, an agenda, a quorum may be present. You just have to add that to the agenda, just so the public knows.
I'm sorry, one more time.
As another, if you're doing it the same day, so your 3 o'clock meeting would be the one agenda item reviewing the feedback. And then you can just add at the bottom of the agenda that the, Los Puentes Board will be attending the APS board meeting, at 5 o'clock at City Center, and there may be a quorum. So the public knows, you're just gonna be watching a meeting, but there's gonna be a quorum possibly there.
So would we do the same thing for next week's site visit? I think a good chunk of us are planning on being here. Where would we note that?
You can put that as an announcement on the website that the governing board will be, participating in the APS, site visit or renewal. And there may be a quorum present, but no business will be discussed, or decisions made by the board. That just has to be posted.
Okay, is that something, Les?
We can do that
Okay, thank you.
on the list.
And then same thing as Zoom link? For that date,
And-
can be sent to us? Well, no, I meant,
Oh, for the,
when we meet on the 13th, the Zoom link.
on the
to us.
13th, yes.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we'll put it on the agenda.
How does that impact you though? Are you gonna need something approved?
Next month, probably we'll have more, but we can, but
It'll be okay?
if something urgent, I will let you know. But I don't think we will have much.
Okay, so it'll be okay December? Okay. Wanna make sure? I know. Flies by. Okay, great, good job, team. I think we got a good game plan. All right. Anything else on that? Topic on that?
No,
We're
no.
good?
thank you guys.
So, 3 p.m. Public comment procedure?
I just wanted to run this by you. I've been, attending some calls, and this has come up as a topic, for discussion. Oh, that was, no problem. So, it just occurred to me that there is no procedure to follow whenever we have public comments. So I'm glad Kelly's here, because you can give us some guidance, but we sent this out. Leslie has been including line at the bottom of the agenda to email her if you have a public comment. And ever since we've gone to YouTube and stuff like that, we've decided maybe they can email Leslie and let her know if they're going to be attending on Zoom or if they're going to be here in person, and then, their time to speak would be limited, and that your board meeting would allow up to 10 minutes at the start of the meeting for that public comment. I'm sorry, we limit the speakers to 5 minutes. Maybe a long time. Kind of threw it together based on what I've been hearing with, some of my colleagues doing. So I wanted to see if that's gonna work for you.
And actually, that's probably good, because the new statute requires that somebody be able to participate or have a public comment in the meeting. OMA doesn't discuss it at all, but the new, statute for governing board meetings, that's why you're doing the recordings, but also there's a clause in there for, public to participate. So this is a good way to sort of regulate a little bit, you know, because you've got people that are coming in most likely online. Very rarely are they gonna come in person. And so having a protocol in place is definitely a best practice. And, the other thing is, did you put a stipulation in here? I apologize, I didn't, for a written comment?
I don't believe so.
May I just suggest that for public comments, you know, just at the meeting, so somebody actually speaking at the meeting, have a 2 different part statement on here. And both will go through Leslie, is to request to speak at the meeting, public comment for the meeting, live, email to get placed on the agenda, and 2, if you wish to provide written comments to the board, email that to Leslie, you know, 4 hours prior to the meeting or whatever you decide. You have to have both elements available in there. So, you know, you may just want to juice this up a little bit to include that in there.
I have a question about the email. So, thinking of, you're on vacation for 2 weeks, or something wonky happens, you're out. How do we access the email?
If Leslie were to be out for an extended period of time, that takes us to the public comment, deadline, right? Can put an out of office reply and direct the sender of that email to direct their comment to a different individual.
Idea, and I don't know if it's possible because it's one looking to manage, but is there a way to maybe create an email address specifically for public comments that it's almost a proxy where Leslie would, maybe you're reading them, but you and somebody else might have access to seeing them always, so it won't have to change on going future or access, I don't know.
That would work on demand, right? So it would still have to be forwarded to somebody who monitors that inbox. What occurs to me is that we have a tip line on our app, and so we can ask them to put it through the tip line because that actually goes to about 4 or 5 different inboxes. And so if they wanted to share their comment, there is a field where they can put, you know, instead of the tip, they enter their comment there. They can put their name, email, phone number, if they, you know, if they wish. It can be submitted anonymously, and I don't know if public comments can be submitted anonymously.
Yes.
So we could direct them to the tip line at Los Campos, app, and then that would go immediately. Once they submit, it goes to self and the number of staff here. So
That's an idea, I mean.
That's actually.
So then you can put for public comment, please email Leslie Chavez, or
it's through the
submit
tip line.
to,
So yeah, for public comment, to speak at the meeting for public comment, email Leslie that, because you're presuming that they're gonna be there. For written comments to the board, and then whatever your link is to the tip line, because then you can show for OMA and for, the new statute that you guys are providing both written and spoken, public comment opportunities. And a procedure doesn't require approval from the board, only a policy.
We don't require a policy on this. So if it's okay with the board, I can edit based on Kelly's feedback, and we can roll it into our procedure
Yes.
internally. Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for coming back. Miss all these sidebars, this opportunity to
My brain's a
take
little
your
foggy,
brain.
so I'm making sure.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. The next item is the relocation of school, and I don't know if anybody got a chance to look at my report just yet, but, I wanted to bring this up to the board because we have kind of a lot of stuff going on. If you are ready for that agenda item, I'm sorry. Yes, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, you know, a year and a half ago, I started to kind of rip my hair out to see, like, what else can we do to bring memberships to the school? You remember, we've been really, really low. So we're actually at 142 today. And today's 40 day, right? So typically we enroll leading up to 80 day, and then we start over again in the spring. And so there's a number of things happening. I think kids are finally coming back from COVID. They were gone, but they're coming back. And so yes, we are enrolling those who are severely behind and have just decided I still need a high school diploma. I'm under the age of 21. They're returning to school. The other thing that's at play is that EPS restructured their blended learning with the academy, where students would go and learn part-time there and then do part-time at work, at home. And so, you know, a lot of those students now are finding themselves needing a choice for school. So our online enrollment is really increasing. And so the reason why we started the whole relocation was to say, let's pursue the enrollment. Where are the kids, right? Well, the kids are coming back. So, you know, I wanted to just kind of get some direction from the board. Is this something that we're really actively pursuing right now? Because I did contact the EPS realtors. They did put some things in motion. Everybody's kind of interested in our beautiful building, and we keep getting this great feedback of, whoa, look at this. It even smells good. It looks so beautiful. You got a basketball court. Yes, it's ours. But, you know, at this point, also into our charter school application, we are asking for a name change, as you approved a number of months ago. And that alone, just the effort to rebrand and relaunch, I think is going to attract some additional enrollment. So at this point, I don't know that the board should consider that relocation an immediate urgent matter.
Anna, would it, I apologize, would it be possible to consider, in a phased approach first, looking at and focusing on the name change? And then would it be reasonable after a name change and kind of essentially a rebranding, then at that point considering the potential of moving that to a move if viable, or is that?
Yeah,
I
I do believe that would be a good approach. I want to know what the effect of the name change will be, because I think it will definitely attract a lot more enrollment. Right. Yeah.
And I should ask, and I didn't get to get into the report in great detail, but were there properties identified in the target area that were appealing?
So not so far, and the farthest we've gotten was to inquire about the site where the West Blended Studio used to be, and that is owned by APS, and we were looking at the possibility of maybe leasing that site for temporary relocation in efforts to get ourselves to the Northwest Quadrant. You know, there's another element that we should consider, though. You know, that relocation would be temporary, and then we'd have to liquidate on this building, and then, you know, find a building or build to suit, whichever the case may be. But in the meantime, I've also been looking at transportation routes, and we recently got a quote from APS. There's a lot of difficulty around that route. The kids would be on the bus forever. They couldn't get any transportation routes set up for school until after an hour, you know, following our actual start time. So there's a lot that we would have to work with. But we're looking at $25,000, I believe, per year, which sounds like a lot, but it's about a quarter of what I was honestly expecting, because I have no idea how this works. And so transportation we'd fund for a year, and then there's counts that happen for transportation. I don't know if we'd get 100% of the money back, but last year we did ask our lobbyists to there was some money for solar power here on the site. And we did get most of what we asked, and so that's a possibility. And Anna, correct me please with the number, I believe we spend about $35,000 a year on PNM bills.
Yeah.
So that would fund our transportation year to year. And so in hopes of increasing the enrollment of the kids who are seeking a choice in the Northwest, bring them here. So, you know, again, remaining here on site, name change goes through, people in the Northwest seeking choices can rent a bus here. If that's, you know, that's something that adds a little bit of confidence right now. I think if, you know, come next year, if our membership numbers continue to, you know, kind of decrease like they have been for the last 2.5 years, then, you know, we should definitely consider that again. But I think at this point, I think we're showing some other possibilities.
Yeah, I agree. I think we table it till, you know, it becomes a problem again. If the numbers keep going, you know, let's hope they continue to increase.
The urgency is not quite what it was, and if we were first considering that as an option.
That's good. Yes, it is.
Online's a game changer, so.
Online
Yeah.
school, yeah.
Yes.
And if you get more enrollment on online school, you might not even need to move locations, because you were trying to move locations to gain students.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, anything else on that topic? Good. Governing board training. Anything else? And then I'll let, go ahead.
Well, I just, you know, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you guys are staying, with our coaching model. And so with the new law, we've been talking about the meeting structure. What's also changed are the training hours. And, EED has been trying to put the, training topics into, you know, because they're, if you remember when I talked about SB 137 last year, that there's 6 training topics in the statute, but there's only 5 hours of training required. So, for us, it's not a big deal because we integrate it. It's all part, you're getting credit right now for some of the things that we've been talking about, which is how our training works. So, you know, we can certainly continue that. I would imagine that you are looking at a retreat again in January. Is that a yearly kind of thing that you guys are thinking about doing?
Probably, yes.
And so, you know, that we can do some things there. You know, so this is, the design of this is learning and doing, right? And so having somebody here that you can ask those questions, being able to get feedback, and not just at meetings, but you can email me or call me, and, you know, to help just sort of facilitate your work as a governing board. So, you know, previously what I've done is I've done some pretty extensive reports, you know, that they're fairly labor intensive, and I thought what I would be doing is a different model of a training report, based on a professional development plan for governing boards. So those of you that are teachers, that, all teachers have a PDP, so this would be a governing board PDP. And what I would be doing is noting on here, you know, when we were touching on topics and when we were doing that I would share with you guys periodically and, with updates. So it'd be a running sort of thing, and then at the end of the year, we'd have our 5 hours plus. You guys are gonna get way more than 5 hours. But then this becomes more of the authentic sort of reporting of what it is. So I'm going to identify the competencies that governing boards have. I put this together, and so in each of the categories, so I would identify what competencies and what indicators would be, you know, picked up at the meetings, and, you know, whether it's direct instruction or something that you guys are doing as a best practice, it would be identified. And then this would be, you would have your own PDP, professional development plan, as a governing board. So, that's kind of how this is gonna look in terms of the feedback. But again, the most authentic part of this is me being here, me being available for you to have as a resource for the work that you're doing as a governing board. And so we'll be integrating these new topics. We'll, so you'll kind of see what the actual indicators are of competence in each of the categories. And for example, with finance, we touched on finance today. We've touched on OMA today. Talked about the agenda process and the public comment process. We touched on the renewal process and that kind of. So all of those are indicators of what a governing board needs to know and be able to do. And so that's kind of the way that we're going to be doing this, and so actively coaching anything that needs to be quote unquote trained, like we did the renewal process. So you guys got a flavor of what it looks like to go through a renewal from a board's point of view. So we can do that if there's anything that comes up on as we need to dive into. We can definitely do that, and so this is just will be a continuation of the work we've been doing, and I look forward, just to having you guys, growing and improving like you've done over the last several years, and changing your personality. So Gloria is one of the originals, right?
Almost.
Almost a founder, and so that the complexion of the board is going to change. We'll have the new board members that will have to do training, and the bad news about new board training. So in the past couple of years, the public ed department allowed me to do the new board training. So I did an introductory video kind of thing that was a quick, and then you got the rest of your time. They're not letting us do that this year. They want control of all the new board training. So it's asynchronous, thankfully, but try to be diplomatic. PED training, and you know this, is sometimes a little dry, and so you'll have to go through it. But I'm hoping that this model will enhance the understanding that goes along with what board members are responsible for. So anyway, this is the work I love. This is what I do, and so I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm here to guide, support, coach, mentor, whatever it is that you need to make this meaningful for you. And I look forward to having the time with you guys over the next several months.
Thank you. We are happy to have you back. Anyone have any questions for Kelly?
I do have a quick one. If the board were to recruit a new member, you can still kind of help them get started with the new
Yes.
Member training.
Yes. Yeah. I will get you hooked up to the how to request it and what information you need. So I'll be sending you an email as a follow-up, Cindy, and then we'll go from there. And then anybody else that comes on, the same thing.
Great, thank you. Okay. Committees, no updates. Principal eval is done for this year. I'm sure we'll start that again very quickly. It'll come around very quickly come next March, April.
Renewal.
Finance, we met earlier. No ad hoc committee for recruitment, but we did find another. Thank you for the assist, Anna. So we'll lead into board recruitment, prospective new board member. Leslie did email out her resume, and it's also the hard copy if you're here in person. Lots of educational experience, background. I think, as we did relate to just the diversity of our board. Where we're lacking, Goya brought that other educational piece, we have, Debbie. You're the soul, we got you, you're the teacher. So really wanted to try to add one more person who has that background. So here she is, Deborah Dawson. I mean,
She's an oldie.
yes,
Say, when I was there.
yes.
Been a
she
while.
was- Yes, ma'am. On paper, resume, amazing. I mean, the experience we would look for, there's some, assistant principal. Or experience. So, you do a tour last week, was it? Or a little site visit or something?
Apologies, it's been a number of days, and I think it was Friday?
Last week?
Monday. She was here Monday. In full disclosure, we did work together at Cibola, but I was only there a couple of years, and I think that's where she retired from. She was the transition specialist, and I was the special ed teacher. So we came in contact professionally, but not too much after that. I did post on my Facebook, and I think we are connected on Facebook, but through a mutual friend of ours, we made the connection. She came out. She is really committed to the population that we serve, and so she had some really tough questions for me about where the school has been, where the school is going, what it is that we aim to do, based on our mission. And so we did, speak for about an hour, and she, decided she wanted to pursue the opportunity to submit her resume today.
So after review, we get a motion to add Deborah Dawson to, is RTP to us?
I don't know. My daughter's next
Oh,
door.
they're surprising us, RTP
What
teacher,
the-
Here comes the computer, hold on.
She's running on battery.
Get a motion to approve adding Deborah Dawson to our board.
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, here you go. Yay. We're back up to 8. Good job. Good job. All right. I'll give her a call.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did let her know that you would follow up after the outcome.
Perfect. And bring us home.
I wonder if we can go back to 3 under G, just really quick
Yes.
for the purposes of discussing the site visit, so.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, my gosh,
yeah.
I missed that. Oh, my gosh, renewal, sheesh.
That was, I've been, speaking, breathing, eating, screaming, renewal. I don't know why I'm so stressed out about it, but, so here's the application. It's also in your drive. It's all there for review. We have our site visit set for next Wednesday, the 16th at 1 o'clock. And so I know there's a number of you that are, able to participate, and I appreciate it very much. I just wanted to let you know that they gave us leeway, show us their schools, so we're gonna take them and we're gonna actually engage them. So, if you're coming in at the same time, so it'll be kind of the same experience for you as well. So we're gonna show them refocus, and we're actually gonna do a grounding exercise with them, let them know what students experience throughout the day when they come in there. We're gonna do kind of like an interactive icebreaker, so we can build relationship with them, so that they're not just, strangers in our home. This is what we do at Responsive. We build relationship with our students and their families, so we want to show them how. And then we're going to allow them to walk our classrooms, so we do have a schedule for them to follow. Of course, we'd be honored for the board to be there as well, in those classrooms. And then we are going to wrap it up with our students. So we've selected a panel of students that represent our, who we serve across the ranges. And so they're gonna be answering some pre-planned questions at first, so they can give them a good introduction as to, know, what it is that we want to try to capture through their voice. And then we're going to allow the panel to ask, or the raters, to ask questions. We are in the process of getting the presentations that they want to hear. We do have a number of things to address when they're here, so we're, preparing a presentation ahead of the, you know, the classroom visits and everything else, that I hope will capture the essence of who Los Fuentes is through the lens of this renewal application rubric. So, wanted to let you know if you're here next Wednesday, we appreciate it very, very much, and we're gonna let you participate like, like the rest of them. You have two, EPS administrators, one of them is the superintendent of special education, gonna be here. The other one is the director of, equity. And then we have two charter leaders and the whole charter team. So there's gonna be about 8 people, doing this for us next Wednesday. So just a quick look ahead at what, what we're gonna be doing.
Have you gotten any indication of the, around school contract?
I have not gotten solid indication. I've gotten some really good feedback.
I mean,
from
your
all throughout.
data is solid, so, I would hope so.
It just takes them so long to post the scores,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. But you know, if you look at the data in, Anna's report, every goal that seems to have been met except enrollment. And you've bounced back. So it's, I think it's important, because that distinction is in the contract. And so that was a contract stipulation that had to be signed by the board. And it's a much higher level of, oversight, when Joseph could get here. There's a little question about that, but it would be a very big, step to that renewal, get off of that, turnaround distinction. And so, I was just wondering maybe if he had given you a preview or anything.
No.
So, hopefully.
On that, Kelly, can I ask a question about the contract when it is, I'm going with, we're gonna be renewed and we're gonna be presented contract, is that something we sent to the board's attorney to review? Is there any negotiation at all possible, or?
So yes, definitely want your attorney involved. Is that Sue?
Yes.
Okay, so Sue's very well versed in this. So what happens, Cindy, is the school receives a contract after its approval, and the contract sets performance levels that the schools are expected to meet. And this is a contract between APS and the board, and Anna it executes that contract. And so, so the idea is, so you presented your renewal, which has, looking forward, looking into the, you know, what you are planning to do as a school, and incorporating those goals into this contract. Well, the authorizer can say, well, no, we want you to do these goals, which is basically what happened with when you're in a turnaround, when you're not performing and they put you on a high-level oversight contract, which is turnaround. So they had very specific they had to do. So this is hopefully then your chance to negotiate with APS. And so if they say, you know, XYZ on your reading, math, and science, you can come back with data that says, you know, this is something that makes more sense for our school. Where the real negotiation comes is in your mission specific. And so that you definitely want to negotiate. So mission specific goals would be very important for telling the story of the school. And reading, math, and science are important, but where the rubber hits the road is what does your school do for kids that's different than a traditional school? And this school has just tremendous information about what they do outside, you know, in terms of relationship building and supporting at-promise students. And, you know, so I think this is, you know, definitely something. So Sue does need to be involved. The board will need to be involved. They'll need to approve that contract, once it is, and so will APS. And so so I'm guessing that if they're gonna do the approvals in November, that they'll probably start pretty close, if not before winter break. And so I would just go ahead and reach out to Sue and just say, we're getting ready for our contract negotiation. Here's what we're looking at for our goals. And, we want to, you're gonna, I have a feeling that you are gonna go off turnaround. I just, you can't dispute your data. So, I think you'll have some more wiggle room for negotiating.
And just to touch base in regards to preparation for us when we're either next week or at the renewal APS board meeting. Again, expectations for us as board members, you've sat on a few.
Yeah, and so depending on what the expectation is at the, before what happened at the board meeting was that there was actually a presentation by the head administrator and the board president that they actually sat together and talked about what was going on, and then the questions came to them. Sounds like it's a little bit going to be a little different. And so I think, the board needs to know the renewal for the site visit. So if you haven't read the renewal, do it if you're going to be here, because they will ask questions about it. And you don't have to memorize it, but be familiar with it. Be familiar with it. And then also be familiar with what's happening in terms of your training, i.e., they'll ask about your governing board training, so you can identify that you have a full-time coach that works with the school through the school year, the governing board. And that, as a result of this coaching, you can talk about, we've changed our head administrator review process, which is one of your primary responsibilities, reviewing your one employee's performance. And, we've updated our policies, we've done, so as a result of that training, the things that have changed, with the board over the years, and, you've brought new board members on, you're continually changing the narrative about what the governing board is doing and what they're responsible for. So, you guys have, are just fantastic, and you need to make sure that you get credit for that. Because you're putting, doing this kind of, you could get your training done, 5 hours, one and done, you're out of there. But you've committed to this kind of structure where you're under scrutiny by somebody every time I'm at the meeting. I don't treat it that way. I don't do gotcha, but that's vulnerability of putting yourselves in open to feedback, and so not all boards want that. And so, I think really give yourselves credit for the fact that you have taken on a very high-level professional development training for your governing board hours. Not just about the hours, about the quality of the work that you're doing.
Do you have hard copies at all? I'd like to highlight.
We did pay an arm and a leg to produce these,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
in all of these, the appendices are just our evidence, so it's 42 pages that we can reproduce in black and white. If
Yeah,
you'd like,
no, you don't
yeah.
have to.
And we could, Molly. I think
stock,
I
I'd
work
like
the same way.
I wanna
It's the same way.
highlight in
That
yellow.
one's done, yeah. We can print, this is the application itself. The appendices, you won't see them, but you can always pull them up on the drive. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
I think I just would like to have it too, just hard copy next
Sure, yeah.
Monday.
I think that's great, so I can get those printed for you. So I'll have a few, copies on it.
Thank you. I mean, I can even swing by.
Actually, if you have a few minutes, I can bring them up.
I can wait now. I
Yeah,
can wait today. Thank you.
great. Okay.
Okay, now we can jump ahead, so I'm so sorry.
No problem. All right, so, here are our membership numbers. This is after the time that this, report was produced. Full disclosure that 141 is how many we have enrolled. We do have, an adult student who is 23 who is not being reported to STARS, but I can't separate that on this report. So as of this date, we were at 140, and then you can see, we are still 45% reclassified. So those are students that are off track for graduation, and our virtual students, where is our virtual number? Find it, I'm sorry, we're still about 40% virtual. So, and we're enrolling at that rate. We're seeing kids come in for maybe one in person and two virtual actually these days. So we're able to work with the students whichever way we can help them. So a lot of them come in inquiring about the virtual, and they end up coming in person as well. So we just do whatever it takes to get them graduated. Our attendance average is 75.59%. I had a lot higher hopes for our semester split to help us out with attendance. I don't know that I can substantiate it right now. We're still not doing great. But again, working with 140-some students, almost half were online. So really, if we have, an expected attendance of like 70 kids, 80 kids, two habitually truant students are really going to pull our numbers down.
Yeah.
So, we did some maintenance again on the plumbing. That problem just doesn't want to go away, but it looks like a maintenance issue, and right now we're up and running. And then we talked about the possibility of doing transportation solar here on the facility instead of trying to look for a new one. So I appreciate your support with that, board. The charter application is off and in the hands of the people who can grant us a renewal. So that's basically my story for folks for RDA. We did actually get some data for last year. So this is 23-24 that I've highlighted in red for you. In reading, we continue to grow. This is the SAT at high school level. So we're 17.9% proficient. Unfortunately, we did take a dip in math. And so we ended up at 0, so that's the first target we've missed in math. And there's a number of reasons why, but, I will not make excuses. We didn't hit the mark. In science, again, we grew, and so we're at 24% proficiency. The average for last year, we're at 113 for membership, and our average attendance was 75%.
Good question. I'm sorry, Anna.
So the math proficiency, is that 0% increase over the previous year?
No, that's our total number. That unfortunately means that no students at the 11th grade level who took the SAT in 23-24 scored in the proficiency. And that's a score of like 508 on the SAT. So that's a pretty high mark to begin with. But we had a number of students in the band. And the proficiency calculation at the state is very difficult for even me to digest. I've done it multiple times, and they have these numbers and participation. If you have off-track kids, the more I learn about how they calculate, the more I'm able to guide the assessment. For example, this is a hard number, but if we have a student who is reclassified, who should be testing, who's not testing, maybe we need to get him in there to test, because then we miss the window. And if they test as a senior, it doesn't count as proficiency, but it does count towards participation. And it's very complicated. So the more I learn about this, the better that I can equip the students who are testing. But unfortunately, that number means none of our students hit the 580 mark. And I do understand that they're changing it in the future, we're gonna get at least partial points for those kids who are in that range. So it'll be like, if they're proficient, they count as the 1 unit. If they're almost proficient, it's gonna be like 3/4 of a unit. And if they're above, they're gonna be 1 and 0.25, I think. So it'll average out into more of an accurate picture as to where proficiency is, because this is a binary number. They either are or they aren't. So we're not acknowledging the or how close some of the students on that mark. Okay, for Focus Priority B, unfortunately, we did have to terminate a teacher, but our teachers are awesome here, and they just picked up the assignment, so we didn't hire anybody. We are seeing a lot more numbers, so, we did hire our online support specialist, and so that's a person who's dedicated to not do instruction, but just checking up on kids doing their grading, and that's working beautifully. Myself and 2 of my teacher leaders did a training with TNTP, courtesy of CSI money, and we've set the tone and the direction for PLC. I feel like we just get, better and better in that area. Last year, we collected student samples. The PLCs analyzed it. This year, we're going to analyze it through the lens of instruction. What did we get? What did we ask the students to do? And what standards are we using, and are we hitting the depth of the standards? So we're just continuously targeting instruction. Today we did have the PSAT and MSQT. Happy to report we hit a 96% participation rate. They're super proud of that number because we've been getting better at that as well. Kids are responding. And then we planned a team building activity for tomorrow with our staff because we're kind of at the lowest. We need a little pick-me-up before winter break. You can see the growth in summary. So to answer your question, we did make negative growth in math, 10% in the wrong direction, but positive in reading and writing as well as science. And our yearly goal for attendance will be 78%. We're just under that. We will continue to work on it and come up with other interventions that can help us. Right now, we're looking at graduating 36 kids. So that's a big class. 33 of them are going to meet this metric on the on-time graduation. The other 3 are students that should have graduated by now with the number of semesters that we gave them since the enrollment, and they didn't make it, so we're going to graduate them this year. And 2 of them are going to be 3-year grads, so they're going to do pretty well.
Do we, does APS post their attendance numbers? I saw that somewhere.
I'm
sure they have.
believe they, yes, and, yeah.
I can't imagine they're not. Are they at 78%?
If you did, look at the state, I think 70 is a really good number, actually.
What the heck?
Looking at the state numbers.
Well, we do what we can.
Yeah.
And
you're maintaining and improving,
We
so
are,
that's what counts.
Yes. Okay, for Focus for ADD, we had a really cool Gear Up Week, getting students excited about college and career exploration. We had a college and career fair on one of those days. On another day, we had this poet from Cool Speak, and he engaged the kids in writing their own poems. And it was really neat to see one of our opening activities for Gear Up Week. The coordinator asked students to write what their dream was. And we have it posted in the gym, and it's on social media, so if you go on Facebook, you can see that. Just some really inspiring words from our people that we serve. It's really, really cool. Discipline data for September. We have the grade level of the students, the number of infractions. So we have an 11th grader there that needs a little bit more learning from infractions, and we're working on that. And then just in total, 32 disciplinary incidents, and you can see that the severe was only at 3. And then just the rest of the information, the parent contact, wellness referrals, and things of that nature. Are there any questions on this month's report?
Thank you. All right, okay. Wrap this up for today. May we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.